Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to episode 427 of the Words About Games podcast, the weekly gaming podcast for Words About Games. I'm one of your hosts, Sammy K. Alexander. I'm joined this week by the one, the only Vitz Patel. I decided to do that as like a horse race announcer halfway through me saying it.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It did sound like you were gasping for breath by the end
of it. I was,
of it,
yeah,
but...
because when I started talking, I hadn't decided I was going to talk like a horse race announcer, but it was only partway through where I was like, I'm almost hitting horse racer announcer. Let me just see if I can do it. But I didn't take a big enough breath before I started talking. But you know how committed I am to these things.
Committed to the bit. That's what they say about Ames. What's good, everybody? How are we all doing? Hope you're all doing well up there in listener land. Exactly. But yeah, it's been a week, and the game industry continues to be broken in many different ways. But yeah, somehow we continue.
This week's fucking sucked. And
yes,
it's not going to get any better. I have to stream Dino Crisis on Saturday.
Whose fault is that?
Everybody else's fault. Charity's fault.
Yeah, so what Amy's alluding to is November the 2nd at 7 p.m. GMT, and then because the clocks in the UK and other parts of the world with similar times and sensibilities have changed, but many other parts of the world haven't. 7 p.m. GMT, whatever Google says that's going to be on Saturday, so November the 2nd, over on twitch.tv/wordsbackgames. Amy will be playing Dino Crisis, the game that we had all different kinds of fun with teasing and then revealing on one of our charity streams that we do for the wonderful people over at Special Effect.
Is it too late?
Yeah, she will not be in the set you might see if you're watching the video version of this, for she is traveling.
Sure I am. Would it?
Yeah.
Is it too late to back out of this?
Well, I've done the promo art for it now, so yes.
Okay, but what if we just carefully Photoshop over the top of the raptor, Mr. X's face, and then I'll just play Resident Evil 2.
I mean, if you do it with enough confidence, I think everything should be okay. You're overestimating my Photoshop skills, but I'm sure.
Well, no, we can lean in. You can do what I do and just lean into the aesthetic of I'm bad at this.
Yes,
I'm terrible at graphics. So if you ever watch any of my video essays where I've worked on the graphics are awful, but I've leaned into it as part of my own personal aesthetic. But you might be asking, which version of Resident Evil 2 will you run, Amy? And it's like, I don't know. I can run either, baby.
There you go. So it might be the stream where we just gaslight Moody, saying, look at Dino Crisis.
It's Dino Crisis. It's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's a man in a fedora. No. It's T-Rex. Clearly.
Yeah.
Listen.
Exactly. Moody, you need to get your eyesight checked, my friend.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Zombies.
Chat's all with us.
No.
Exactly.
No, it's not zombies.
This is Regina.
Yeah, see?
Not Claire Redfield, no.
Ooh. What if? Hold on. Because in Resident Evil 3,
yeah,
you can get a costume for Jill, which is the character from Dino Crisis.
There you go.
So, like, instead of 2, I think I could fool him with this one.
I think that's more of a plan.
The question now in the intro is how many classic Resident Evil games is he going to reveal? And the answer is a lot. I could reveal a lot.
There you go.
So, if I wasn't going to Manchester this week, like I saw a copy of Resident Evil Survivor in the wild, which is, if you remember my antivirus is trying to update. If you remember the cursed PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, our very first stream for Special Effect.
Yeah, right. Resident Evil Survivor was the game I described as the Capcom asking the question, what if a first-person shooter had tank controls? And I was like, man, I'd love to give that a stream, though, because I don't think anyone believes me.
Yes, there was a lot of that.
And I'm like, no, it's true. You can get 3 endings in that game. And which ending you get is based on, at one point in the game, you can go to the hospital, or you can go to the bar, or you can go to a third location.
Wow.
And that's it. And
This
only
was
one of
many,
the
many
endings
years.
makes sense.
It's like Mass Effect 3 all over again. Only one of these endings makes sense.
No one can agree on which one, though.
Exactly. Since this was the only option for my chef.
Yeah, no, yeah. Deleting my save file and starting again. That was my preferred ending. No, actually, I'm just going to go back to the Citadel DLC.
Oh, yeah.
And then turn the console off once I finished it.
Yeah, that's where the game ended. We took that photo of everybody at the party, and then that was it. Yeah, job done.
Perfect. Mwah, 10 out of
And they
10.
all lived happily ever after.
I don't need happily ever after, but I need like coherency in my like storytelling. I'm fussy that way. But yeah, no, like I know what's gonna happen though. Like they're not gonna have Resident Evil Survivor in Manchester, and then I'm never gonna see it again.
Oh yeah, that's the unicorn now. It's
I'm
gone.
gonna be like, well, shit. All right, I'm gonna have to like resort to buying these things online.
I believe it was a philosopher Eminem who said it was one shot, one opportunity.
That honestly tracks with like retro game hunting, like unless it's like a super like common game, like
Yeah.
Halo on Xbox is like there's millions of copies of it. But yeah, if it's like uncommon, I've ranked, not officially, like I do have a spreadsheet, but I've ranked like retro games in my head, based on like the Magic the Gathering cards rarities, where it's like a common, you've got uncommons, you've got rares, and then you've got mythic rares. And the only difference between a mythic rare and a rare is the mythic rares are like £300-400.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They're the ones that they're not necessarily games that I'll never see. They're games that I'll never afford. Whereas rares are just games that I'll never see.
The Steel Battalion with the original controller. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how sick would that be? Like to own that. Like, do I like Steel Battalion? Don't know. Never played it, but I would love that controller. That controller would be awesome.
There you go. It might not be compatible with anything else, but I don't care.
I don't give a shit. I like my ultimate get is like to have like a collection of like a complete collection of the Resident Evil series. And like as part of that, my ultimate get for that is the PlayStation 2 chainsaw controller.
Yes. That big orange. Yeah, I remember that.
Which I'm pretty sure like you can use on anything on PS2, but you probably
it's
shouldn't.
just a standard controller.
Because it's just a standard controller. That's a chainsaw. And like it's expensive. And like if I told you it was £200, give or take. But in my head, I'm like, that's not unreasonably expensive.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable for that caliber of memery when it comes to everyone to me.
If I could stream Resident Evil 4... Wait, hold on. I could do the thing again.
Yep, here we go.
Where'd you go? Oh, there you go. Like, if I could stream Resident Evil 4 with that controller, that would be one of my greatest achievements in life. I've now revealed like so many Resident Evils.
Don't worry, friends. Shelf keeps going.
It does. It's got a lot on it, actually. After I found all those games in the loft. Like Shadow of the Colossus. I really need to play that.
Hell yeah. Yes, you do.
I was thinking, I want to get... A successful trip to Manchester would be if I came back with Eco and The Last Guardian. And then I've got the trilogy.
The Last Guardian will be obviously easy to find just because there's more copies out there. But Eco would be... And to find a copy of Eco in decent condition, so I happen to have the... my copy of Eco actually sent to a friend, James Milkey, of One Up fame. And I sent my copy... Actually, Shadow I sent over to him because he wanted the UK... the PAL version, which had postcards in it, and he had those signed by Ueda-san.
Oh damn!
So yeah, if you can get like the kind of limited edition Eco one, then yeah, that would be gold dust. But obviously, like the regular PS2 game, it's still really hard to find.
Yeah, like again, it's one of those where I've seen it once, but for reasons I didn't pick it up, and now I can't find it ever again. And I'm starting to learn the hard way. Like, if you see a game, buy it.
Yes.
Like, just get it. You'll never see it again. Like we saw Persona 4 when I was down at yours, and I've never seen that again since either. But yeah, no, like I would love to get those.
I
three
will
games.
say, Eco is available online for £22.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you can buy things online. Like this whole like buying things, like it takes out the fact that you can buy most of this stuff online for reasonable prices, as long as you like avoid certain.
If you do want to venture out to Rochdale, they do have a copy in stock, and in Southport.
Moody, I know you don't have a job anymore, but let's just jump in the car.
There you go.
But
There's 2 in stock in Lee.
Great. I'm going past Leeds. You think I can get the driver to stop? Look, I just need to get a
There's
copy
only one
of
way
Eco.
to find out.
That's it. You know Eco, right?
That's it.
Of course you do.
Yeah. He was there pulling Yordo along, sitting on the bench.
I genuinely so this year, like I love this weird conversation we're having, which is kind of relevant to where we're starting the podcast in a bit, but like this year has been the year of me like not giving a shit about like playing all of the new games, which I've kind of. It's probably just because there's more new games that I'm really excited for coming out in the last couple of months. But the last couple of months, I've kind of been like on that new game train again.
Yes.
But like not like I have to play all of the games. Like no. I just come on, man. Silent Hill, Persona 6. Like, of course I'm going to play those games. But like, it dawned on me. Weirdly enough, I don't know if this counts as it dawned on me in a dream. As I was waking up, my brain like thinks about 12 different things at once, and one of the things was this realization where it's like, if we as a podcast didn't do a game of the year every year, would my gaming habits be different? And then I was like, yeah, they probably would be. I mean, I'd probably still be playing Elden Ring right now.
This is true, and I think your Decembers would be a lot quieter because you go through this phase of needing to dip back into several other games, and there'll be no time pressure to do that.
Yeah, we used to do that. Well, I used to do that. I used to do that. And me and Moody did, like, we took the Game of the Year thing and made it into the podcast. Because I was making, like, basically I was making an extra video that was just like, here's my top games of the year. Would you believe in 2017 I had a top 40?
Wow.
And, like, this year I'm like, I don't even know if I've got 10. But, no, we did this thing once. We did a podcast, and we were like, look, our podcast, we're recording it in the middle of December. What if, because we don't give a shit about algorithms, what if our first podcast back in the middle of January is our Game of the Year podcast?
There you go.
And then we've got Christmas and, like, New Year to do what you were saying, like, to dip back into all of the games and, like, check out games that we missed, and then maybe our lists will be better. And then we sat down to record the podcast, and neither of us had done that. We didn't do that. Like, I played Bloodborne, and I can't remember what Moody did, but it was probably Football Manager. And like,
a hunter must hunt.
And literally every year, we've always been like, "Oh, we should probably like do this," and it's never happened. Like, we're just not that built that way. It's like, if we missed the game, we missed the game. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, this ship's passing in the night at that point.
Yeah, it's like, oops. Oh well. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like, I still own it because, you know, UFO 50, I missed that by accident. I've still got it. Like, I still play it. Like,
exactly.
Whatever. Who cares if it goes on a Game of the Year list or not? Apart from the developer.
I'm sure the developers are eagerly anticipating the Words About Games podcast Game of the Year.
Well, it's always our Game of the Year is always more interesting than others. My Game of the Year is always usually more interesting.
It's the only podcast with me on it, so that alone.
Where it's like everybody's like, "Whoa, Red Dead Redemption!" And I'm like, "But did you play this indie game?"
Look at the cool rocks I found this year.
Look at the cool rocks I found this year. I don't know, man. Maybe it's next year is the year I just break through it all. Just play Elden Ring for a year. I could do it. I almost bought it again because I don't.
I know. I heard.
I don't own it now. Like, I feel like I should I feel like I should give
But yeah,
context.
for context, you had it on Xbox, and
Xbox.
then with the way that Xbox and Microsoft have handled things this year, it was no longer financially viable.
Yeah, I mean,
so, yeah.
and also like the Xbox wasn't doing anything for me. Like I traded down, I got an Xbox 360, and like I didn't need the Xbox One anymore, so I was like, why not get some cash for it to spend on Zelda games, which is what I did. But like, yeah, it was just like, damn, I really want to play Elden Ring again. I've been writing about Elden Ring, so I've been looking through my footage. I need to get my Elden Ring videos out because I have too much footage. It's taking up too much space on my hard drive. But I've been watching through it again and being like looking for the bits, so I'd like type in the things, and then I was like, I could just play it again though. It's out on PS5.
It is out on PS5. That is a system that you still have, so yeah.
It's cheaper than Dragon Age. Even with Shadow of the Earth Tree. But yeah, no, I haven't done it. I'm gonna be strong. I'll at least wait for it to go on sale. Or like buy it physically. Probably buy it physically.
Yeah, I'm sure be. Yeah.
Did I ask how you were? I don't know how you, or did I just launch straight into like his Amy's
we
bullshit?
did. I said that the video game industry continues to be broken in many, many different ways. So yeah. It's been a week, but somehow we move forward. We keep moving.
Yeah. It's like time is like inevitable.
That's what they say.
It's like a predator.
Yes. Exactly.
You get it. You got it. You got there.
And just like time, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
No, it's a different movie, friend. We're good. Anyway, Words About Games podcast. That was your Star Trek reference for the week. So let's do the podcast part of the podcast where we podcast about games and maybe say some words about them in a podcast. Oh, I forgot I went first. I was like, I'm sure Vitz is going first. And I was like, nope, apparently I'm going first.
You're padding for time, but are you scrolling down the document? I wondered what was happening.
I was like, no, that's me. The ESA sucks. Did you know that?
I had inklings. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna say that I had inklings.
Yeah. So I've pulled a story from Eurogamer, which is about the US Copyright Office rejecting video game preservationists' request for DMCA exceptions. This is something that like I've been following along with as like someone who's very passionate about video game preservation. And like I've been researching for the inevitable video essay about old games are going away, let's stop this, you know, that kind of thing. But like who's to blame? And it turns out it's the ESA. But
for those who are unaware, the ESA is the Entertainment Software Association.
Yeah, they ran E3 into the ground, and then
they did.
But like they basically their main goal is they're a lobbying entity in the United States, and they lobby for like all of the major publishers and all of the major video game companies. That they lobby for their interests in the Congress and the Senate and whatever else America has.
They're kind of go between government and the corporations themselves in some aspects, at least.
Yeah, no, they're lobbying for the interests of video games, like tobacco. They have a lot of lobbyists in and bomb makers.
Yes.
So yeah, they do that. They represent Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, EA, all of the big hitters. They have been, and then on the other side of that, you got the Video Game History Foundation, which has been petitioning the U.S. Copyright Office to allow, and this is the crucial part because I've seen a lot of people take this out of context, to allow video game researchers digital access to retro video games. So, and I've seen it taken out of context because one of the and it is a crazy sentence. One of the crazy sentences that came out of this was the Copyright Office saying, "Well, we're worried that people will play these video games for recreational use." And everybody's
It's
like,
a
what the
game.
fuck? Yeah. And it's like, no, because they're not petitioning for anyone to be able to have
Yeah.
access to these games, just video game researchers. So
Mhm.
within the very narrow confines of what the Video Game History Foundation is trying to do, that sentence makes perfect sense, even though it's really stupid. But
Recreation.
yeah, because at the moment, video game research. If a video game researcher wants to go to a library to play a game, they have to physically go to that location. Because there's a few
Yes.
different places in the US that have like massive video game libraries. It's like if someone was doing a research paper of Persona 1, for example, it's like, and then there's a library in Washington that has it, like, and they live in California.
Yeah.
Like they would have to go physically to Washington and play the game there, and they couldn't take it away with them. They couldn't do anything like that. They'd have to stay in that location.
Yeah, in a similar way that libraries here in the UK and in the US, they lend ebooks out, and you don't necessarily have to be in that location to borrow ebooks and things
Yeah.
like that. So this is what they're essentially lobbying for here in terms of, right, if these games can be available digitally, then you don't necessarily have to go to that physical location in order to experience what it was.
It's like leveraging the inherent strengths of the fact that we have digital libraries and the internet, so that you could, get the thing through the internet digitally and play it. It's crazy. But the ESA is against this, which is, again, they're a video game lobby. They're against people playing video games. But I've done a lot of research into why, and the main reason is protecting corporations' future profits.
Wow.
Is basically the crux of their argument. So like,
We've got to look out for the shareholders' aims.
They don't want someone. I'm trying to think of a game that doesn't like Eco, for example.
Yes.
Currently unavailable on digital platforms to buy. The game we were just talking about. They don't want libraries to have Eco on. Let me try that again. They don't have Eco accessible online.
Yes.
Because they're worried that researchers will get it and play it, and that's cool. But like normal people might get access to it and be able to play it, and that's bad. Because if normal people can access Eco and play it, then if the rights holder ever decided that they wanted to sell it, no one would buy it. That's the logic that we're operating with here. They're protecting those future profits.
But
I don't think they've met gamers.
Yeah, or people who borrow ebooks from libraries.
Yeah.
It's not like the ebooks are exclusive to libraries and not sold, through Audible and other software and other platforms and the like as well. But it doesn't make any sense apart from the fact that the ESA are looking out for their shareholders, and their seventh yacht is on the line here, Ames.
Sure.
If they allow this to go through, that yacht isn't happening.
Yeah. And again, we're not talking about like you and me and not like
there's several
being
hoops
able
you
to
need to
just,
jump through
you have to be
to become
a researcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even
I
me,
imagine there's a license or something, yeah.
like even me making a video essay, I wouldn't be able to access one of these things. Like, you have to be a proper researcher. I'm talking like when I made the crediting video, like, and two of the things that I cited in that video were legitimate academic research papers. I'm talking about those people being able to play the games that they need to play without having to travel across the country.
So what you're saying is it's over 1,000 times harder to get one of these licenses to become a video game researcher than it is to, I don't know, get a gun in the United States.
Yes. Yes, you are correct on that one. It is, absolutely. And even then, you got to go to the fucking place. They deliver the gun to you in the United States. Here, if you want to play Eco, you have to travel to wherever Eco is physically.
There you go.
And obviously, there's a lot of problems with this. Like even before we get into the spoiler alert, that halfway through this talking about this story, I'm going to reveal that I am actually in favor of everybody being able to play these games. But like before we can get into that, like it's crazy. Like the these things can only exist physically. They can't back them up.
Yes.
So, you know the thing about discs and cartridges, like physical, like media, it will degrade over time.
Of course, yeah. There's batteries inside every GBA card, GB card, and things like that, and they will fail.
Yeah, like the pins in cartridges, like they have to be replaced. Like discs wear out, and the data can't, on them can't be accessed. And once that happens, like that copy is dead unless you've got it backed up somewhere. But again, like the ESA's main, I've seen this turn of phrase used because it's a chapter title in the video outline, which is they're concerned that allowing this to go forward would create an online arcade. And I got news for you about the internet.
Yes.
And what they've done with all of these old games.
I mean, this is going back a couple of years, but look at miniclip.com and how many games are available online.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you know where to look, you can run any console up to a certain point, like in a certain generational point, and you can find pretty much any game to run.
Yeah, and as I understand it, emulators are legal. However, the distribution of the ROMs in order to run on these emulators, or the distribution of them is illegal.
I could put a PlayStation emulator on my computer, and I could get the information, and I could get this onto my computer and play it on my computer. That's perfectly legal. I own this copy.
You can convert that into an ISO file, and then
like, hey, it turned out it was bringing all these Resident Evils over was great.
There you go.
Not that I need to, because Resident Evil 4 is available on everything.
Including your toaster. It's up there with Skyrim.
Yeah, it's a Skyrim situation. Yeah. But like, their idea is like, it'll create the online arcade. People won't buy any games. Like, motherfucker, I don't know how many times I've bought this. But it's more than once. It's more than the one time I bought it in 2005 or whatever it was. 2010. I don't remember. But
and just as an anecdote to all this, as a two-time librarian, we used to lend out physical video games because this was back in the day.
Yeah.
And even though it was legitimately the cheapest way to play brand new releases and whatnot, and fair enough, you'd only get a limited number of copies of brand new video games kind of thing. Like the pickup on that was really, really low because people just didn't know that was a thing you could do at your local library.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I was fortunate enough when I was a kid that I had a parent who worked at Blockbuster Video during the PS1 era. I've always said it's one of the reasons that I got into gaming like majorly during PS1 because I could just pick up any game I wanted.
Yeah.
With my free rentals. That was how I got into so many games. But like, what happened was like, you could only get them for so long. And I'm going to tell you right now, even as a kid, I could not complete Final Fantasy VII in 3 days. I bought it, obviously, because I wanted to keep playing it. But like, the idea that they're worried about the online arcade, like it doesn't already exist, because it does. Like, it's the difference between there's this survival horror game that I really want. It's called Kuon. It was released on PS2. I never had a PS2 like at the time that PS2 was a thing, so I missed tons of games. Like, it never reviewed very well, so it didn't get printed very much, so it's quite a rare game. You're probably looking at between £400 to £1,000, like, if you want to pick up a copy of this game in this country. It's a mythic rare. And but when I tell you that the game was developed by From Software, you understand why I'm like, I'm interested. I want to see this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't. Because it's not available digitally. Like, I was going through the PS Plus collection of classic games and like seeing what was on there and stuff. Like, if that game was on there for like 20 quid, 30 quid, I'd be like, you know what? Take my money, PlayStation. Take my money. The only way I'm going to ever experience that game, if I choose to experience that game, unless I get really lucky finding a copy in a charity shop or something, is going to be from the online arcade that the ESA is where that can't be allowed to exist. But on the flip side of that, like, the psychology of video gamers is such that, like, you know, like, they're worried, like, oh, if I could play Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, like, oh, I wouldn't play Resident Evil 3 Remake. Like, I don't own both.
Yes.
And I don't even like Resident Evil 3 Remake. I still bought it. It's a maddening thing because it is like, you know, as part of this, the Video Game History Foundation has been doing this lawsuit for the last 3 years. And as part of like the lawsuit, there's like research. They did the survey of video game reissue market in the United States, which found that 87% of video games released in the US before 2010 are out of print and unavailable, which is unacceptable to me. As like we should be able to get whatever fucking old games we want.
Yeah.
Without having to resort to fucking spending hundreds or even thousands of pounds on them. Like, if I want to experience Kuon, I know I'm coming off as entitled or whatever, but it's like, if I want to play Kuon, I should be allowed to give money to someone to play Kuon. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I'm not even saying I should be allowed to pirate it. It's like, no, I would like to give someone my money. But I can't. There's nobody to give my money to.
Yeah, it's a gap in the market. And what strikes me is that obviously the ESA is I say obviously, it's an organization that's been around for a number of years at this point. Obviously, like E3 was coming up to its 20th year or whatever it was, and with it being a lobbying organization that works with the government in the United States, it strikes me that the folks at the top of the ESA are of the elderly and old-fashioned persuasion, who are discussing things with people in government and Congress and whatnot, who are also very elderly and very old-fashioned.
Yeah,
and it's
sure.
one of these of it's the fear of the unknown, even though it's a known quantity.
I mean, it's a very known quantity. Like, if you make the thing available for money, I will pay you money.
There's a market for it. Yeah.
Like, there's a market for it, and like, like, you're not going to sell a lot of copies of Our Real Monsters on PS1, but like, the option should be there for anybody to download and play that game, because it's like, well, who should decide? Like, no one. All games should be available in some fashion. If you don't want to sell the game, that game should be available freely.
Yes,
because we're not talking about tech, we're talking about art. Like, the video games are artistic creations, not technological creations. Like, it's not TV, you know. It's a piece of art, and it's like film. I think it's like film preservation, right? Like, I can pull a DVD down off my shelf of an Akira Kurosawa film released in 1950 and watch it. Like, I should be able to pull down a PS1 game released in 1997. I couldn't remember when that console was out.
There you go. 94, yeah. 94.
Yeah, and play it if I so choose from a library of games that I have, bought and paid for. I shouldn't have to be running to CEX being like, please have a copy. Please, please, do you have a copy of this video game? I have my hundreds of pounds.
And I know that so this piece on Eurogamer has a line from Xbox President Sarah Bond saying more words of fancy about digital or video game preservation and whatnot, but it ought to be on the platform holders to take it out of the ESA and anybody else's decision to say, if your game was ever released on our platform, then in our digital storefronts, you should be able to play it. Now, I understand with PlayStation, they say there's major complications with PS3 games because of the cell architecture and whatnot, and how that doesn't play nice with modern day architecture and stuff like that. Okay, that's a given.
Even in like the PC like emulation space, like PS3 is a major stumbling block.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it should be that if your game was released on PlayStation 1, because there are PS1 games available digitally on the PSN network. Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of, if it was there at any point, you should have the digital backups and then be able to sell it. And you might not sell 1 million copies. You may not even sell 100 copies, but the option should be there, kind of thing. And you can price that whatever you want. If you're projecting that it's going to be tiny sales numbers, then you can price accordingly, or you can just say, you know what, this is going to be a total loss leader for us, but it's important because video game preservation is important.
Yeah, and it's not even going to be a major loss leader. It's not like they're developing a new console or a Spider-Man game. Like, they don't have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. And like, I'm going to say something that's a meme, unironically. Like, if you're looking for people to do this, you can hire the people who are currently doing this.
Yes.
Because there is a community out there dedicated to the preservation of games, the actual preservation of games.
Now, if their argument was, oh well, it's a licensing issue, then I could have more sympathy towards it in terms of, okay, we can't put this racing game on this digital or on this library digital storefront because the licenses have expired for that. But at the time of release for that product, the licenses were in place.
Sure, it's why it's why I don't give Xbox a hard time over Forza Horizon games like disappearing.
Yes.
Like, as much as that sucks, it's like, I mean, they're full of licensed music, and the licenses are obviously expiring.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or Cars, one of the two. It's like Cars or music.
It's both,
or both. Yeah,
and that's why we don't necessarily see a lot of remakes of sports games as well, and re-releases of sports games, because that licensed music will have a definitive date when it ends.
Yeah, sure. Because these games get replaced every year. It's like, why do we need the license for this? Like, people, it's like the Jim Ryan thing, looking at Gran Turismo, being like, who would play this? Me.
Yes.
I think it's one of these two. Me would play this.
There you go. Good news, Amy. This holiday, coming to your PlayStation 5, you're going to get my first Gran Turismo, which is going to be the Polyphony Digital standalone experience for Gran Turismo fans, old and new, in order to jump into essentially a condensed version of GT7 to experience what it was like.
Yeah, that's cool. Remind me when it's closer at the time.
I will.
I always love that kind of thing. But yeah, like the thing with Sarah Bond as well, like, quoted at the end, like, I do believe, as much as like I'm not Phil Spencer's biggest fan, I do believe he is passionate about video game preservation, just from researching what he said about it in the past and how he talks about it. Like, I do believe he cares. And the fact that Xbox has made quite a big step towards that in their own ecosystem. It's not a perfect step. Plenty of things I could criticize about it, like me not being able to buy Silent Hill Downpour. What the fuck's up with that? It's backwards compatible. Let me give you money for it. But
do you not like money?
Do you not like my money? Like,
exactly.
but like,
I'm putting £5 notes inside the disc tray. My system is not working.
Yeah, are you getting them? Like, they're disappearing. They're going somewhere. Also, there's smoke coming out the back of my Xbox. But like, again, the ESA represents Microsoft's interests in the United States.
Yes.
So I have to question any statement by someone like Sarah Bond saying, "Oh, well, we're committed to video game preservation." When it's like, but on the same token, you're also not, because the ESA is representing your interests. You're not speaking up to say, actually, I think the ESA might be wrong on this one. Like, even if you're the only voice in the room saying it, like, you're not saying it. So there's a part of you that, there's a part of your company that also doesn't want to preserve video games? Or is it you only want to preserve video games on your platform and your digital storefront and on your console? Which is fair, but you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. That's how I feel about Microsoft.
That's fair. And then the other thing also that I consider, at least, is the noises coming from Team Xbox are all well and good. But if Team Microsoft are like, yeah, we've got no interest in that. Does it make us any money? Does it make us any serious money? Then no, you can't do that. It could be one of those situations.
How much money? How much money can I eat?
Yeah, we need the number to go up. We always need the number to go up. It needs to go higher than it did last year.
If we got rid of like the big publishers, like, video game would be free. Like, they're all Warner Brothers.
Yes.
But yeah, no. I think old video games should be accessible one way or another. Take that statement for whatever, in whichever direction you want. Don't want to say too much more. But yeah, it's a shame, man. Like, it's great. Like, when I was looking at the PS Plus Classics catalog, they had a game on there called Mr. Mosquito.
I'm aware of Mr. Mosquito.
Yeah. And it's on there, and it's £7.99. And like I'm looking up like PS2 copies of the game. I'm looking at like 60 quid copies of this game.
Yeah.
And it's on my spreadsheet. And then I see it on the PS Plus store for $7.99. And I'm like, cool. I could take Mr. Mosquito off the spreadsheet now. Because while it would be nice to own a copy of that game, the price disparity is just too high. Like, but it's nice to have the option of like, do I want the PS2 version? Like, do I want to go out and get the PS2 version? Do I just want the game to play on on PS5? Like, that should be where we're at in terms of like video game collecting, right? It's like, give me the option to do one or the other.
As I understand it, these PS Classic titles, they're not boosted in any way, so you're still getting a like-for-like experience. Yeah,
it's like you can, you're just getting an emulator.
It's the original
It's
ROM,
an emulator. It's like Xbox's, all of Xbox's backwards compatibility is emulated, like from Xbox 360 and Xbox. Because, like, if you do it, and I've done it plenty of times on the Xbox Series console, it's like if you try to run an Xbox 360 game, like you don't run it in the game, it literally does the Xbox 360 start and you go to an Xbox 360 dashboard. And it's like, that's the best way to do backwards compatibility, is just to do it as an emulator. Yeah. Just
100%. I know PlayStation with the PlayStation 3 when they first did their 60 gig launch, and that's one I got. It had the PS2 chipset, the Motion Engine. Sorry, it had it on board the hardware as well. And yeah, that was all well and good, but yeah, not the most efficient way of getting things done.
No, like it was a great idea though. Like emulation has come a long way since, we have to put the old console inside the new console to make all of the games work.
Just jam it in there like a pack in a suitcase.
Yeah, it was wild that like that was back in a time when it was like game, like
2006. Yeah,
like on the PlayStation side of things, it's like backwards compatibility was expected. Like if you released a PS2, it had to play PS1 games.
Yes,
and when you release the PS3, it doesn't matter how different and powerful this cell engine is, the cell processor is. You just got to play the PS2 games and the PS1 games.
Well, of course, you're releasing God of War 2 the year the PS3 comes out, and God of War 2 isn't coming to PS3, so yeah, you need that shit to work.
Now we just remaster everything, which is fine. Like, I'm okay with it, but like again, I think remasters are a separate thing. It's like if you're just remastering a game, then it's still the original game. It's when it's like when a remake replaces the original, like Silent Hill 2 has been remade. That's now the Silent Hill 2. And it's like, well, no, that's still the original Silent Hill 2. Like, give me both. And again, the ESA's argument is, well, if people could play Silent Hill 2, they wouldn't buy Silent Hill 2 remake. And it's like, I beg to differ. I am looking at the sales figures. That's not how this works, ESA. Aye, indeed. Do we want to take an early halftime break?
We can do.
Yeah, because like we've got two more things to talk about. Well, we've got one more thing to talk about, and the skeletal outline of a third thing to talk about, maybe. I don't think we're going to squeeze any of those into 17 minutes. And I don't want to try. I don't like squeezing.
Yeah, absolutely. They want a larger conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to be like, well, that's a very interesting point you've made there, Vitz, but unfortunately your time is up. And then I bring the big buzzer out and just burp. That was revenge for Vitzbity. Wasn't Vitzbity. That was revenge for 90s, illegally distinct 90s game shows.
That's the one. Also available on youtube.com/wordsaboutgamesuk.
It was a travesty and a farce. But it was fun. I'd do it again. 10 out of 10. You know what else is fun? Indie games. It's time for Indie Game of the Week. This is what we do most weeks, where we talk about a cool-looking, upcoming indie game that we think you should go and put your eyes on. Literally, I want you to go to the Steam page that's in the description of the video. I want you to bring it up, and I want you to put your eyes on the screen. That's what I want you to do. And then once you've done that, if you can still see, wishlist the game. This week's indie game of the week, Hollywood Animal. Came across this one earlier today. Very interesting. It's well, I'll just read. In Hollywood Animal, you could decide to build a multi-billion-dollar monster that destroys everything in its path. I'm pausing to let people realize that there's a joke in there.
Yes.
Like video game publishers. With blockbusters made strictly according to formulas. But this is far from your only option. You might instead create a boutique studio and conquer the festivals with avant-garde directors. You could build a trash factory, challenging good taste at every turn, filling the screens with blood and spit. This game doesn't tell you how to play or limit you in anything. Just have fun making movies while you try to keep the whole thing afloat. We shouldn't forget the film industry is just one part of a much larger dynamic world. Wars and social upheavals, censorship and corruption, strained relations with the authorities and criminal disputes. Some will be buried in an avalanche of problems, while others seize new opportunities, make your moves behind the scenes, form unexpected alliances, lie, and betray. There are no magic formulas in Hollywood Animal. Only those who can adapt and negotiate survive. So basically, you're the head of a movie studio in Hollywood, amazingly enough. But... instead of just being about like, ooh, make a lot, ooh, make some films, the game goes one step further than that and allows you to like do some shit. I think is the best way. You've got all of the building, resource management upgrades, all that kind of stuff. And also crime. Yeah. It's the tycoon game with a dark side. You could follow the law.
Or just a tycoon game. Yes.
You could follow the law or stay on the mayor's good side. You can raise the screenwriter's salary or remind him about the prostitute he strangled, which you yourself had hushed up. You can delay a film release to avoid competition or ask your friends in the mafia to clear the whole calendar.
This is like the David Zaslav Warner Brothers simulator.
It's, yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, no, I was going to make an Activision joke, but that tracks.
Yeah. It's one and the same. All terrible, terrible things.
They all suck. But you know what doesn't suck? This game, by the sounds of it, and that is why it's an indie game of the week.
So you are permitted to withdraw your eyes away from the screen so they can refocus on that wishlist button. And then while you're there, you'll be able to check out our curator page here at Words About Games, where we've featured every single title that we featured on Indie Game of the Week. So you can wishlist and indeed buy these games, because most of these games have not come out.
Mm-hmm. Some of them may never come out. Who knows?
There you go.
Those are the dice we roll here at Words About Games. But yeah, we just added 10 games last week. If you weren't here last week, we just added 10 new games to the curator page. The 10 Steam Next Fest demos that I played and had fun with. So there's a whole lot of indie games on there for you to check out. In the meantime, I'm going to refresh my drink. Vitz is going to tell you all about Special Effect.
Yeah, so we'll see you in the past. And then in the future. What's good, everybody? I hope you're having the best day. The Words About Games podcast is fundraising for the fabulous team over at Special Effect. If you didn't know, Special Effect is a charity that transforms the lives of physically disabled people all over the world through innovative use of technology. The heart of their work is the mission to maximize fun by helping people control video games to the best of their abilities. They're bringing families and friends together, having a profoundly positive impact in quality of life, confidence, and rehabilitation. Amy, Moody, and I have been working on a number of streams to bring you a whole host of shows, games, shenanigans, and more. Everything from ranking Resident Evil, becoming the noble team in Halo Reach, and finding our competitive streak in legally distinct and 90s game shows. We've got several more charity streams in the works, and with your help, we can get there. Special Effect is a charity near and dear to our hearts, and we'd love your support in raising as much money as possible to bring the joy of video games to so many more people. Simply click on the link in the description below of wherever you're enjoying this podcast, or scan the QR code you see now. That will take you to our Just Giving page, where you can learn more and donate. If you're not in a position to donate, that's more than okay. Times are tough and we understand. Please consider sharing our Just Giving page on social media. It will help spread the word and the work that we're doing. Thanks for listening, and for now, let's get back to the podcast. And welcome to the world of tomorrow.
I saw that game, in there's a Futurama game for PS2.
Okay.
And I do want to get that at some point.
That's when I I say that was the first and only time I watched a Futurama. Like I bought the box sets of like seasons 1 through 4, but I haven't jumped into any of the more recent stuff. So yeah, that'd be my era of Futurama.
I watched the films that came after, like when they got uncancelled the first
Is
time.
that like Beast of the Billion Backs and things like that?
Yeah, so there was the time travel one which I liked, and there was the D&D one which I liked, and then there was the Beast with a Billion Backs, which was weird, and I don't know if I liked it. But I appreciated the swing like they took on that story.
They tried something.
They tried, and then there was the last one, Into the Wild Green Yonder, which was okay, I guess. But like, I've watched more of that, like as they got uncancelled again, and I'm just like, I feel like 4 seasons was enough.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, it had a beautiful ending with.
It did.
Well, the ending in my mind, I'm not sure if it was the actual ending, was Fry with the holophoner, and then like
that was the ending.
Yeah, that was it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, he does the thing with where he sells his soul to the devil, the robot devil. and Bender has that running joke that is one of my favorite Futurama jokes, where he's like trying to find irony. Which I liked. I liked that a lot. But yeah, no, I want to get the video game. My purchases of retro games are like, there's 3 prongs. The first prong is like, do I want it? Like, you know, it's like I've got Final Fantasy games, I've got Resident Evil games. It's like, is it a game that I just like to own?
Yeah.
The second prong is it something I want to play? So like things that I've not played and missed. So like I bought Resonance of Fate, which is the From Software JRPG. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to play that. And the third prong is, would it make a fun stream? And that's where things things get interesting, right? It's like, I bought Porky Park, the Pikachu's Adventure on Wii, like not because I'm necessarily like, oh, I want to play Porky Park, but just because I'm like, that could be fun to play on the stream. Like
I think
Mr.
very few
Mosquito,
people have experienced that sort of thing. Yeah.
That could be fun to play on stream. Eco, that's a game I really want to play.
Yeah, I don't think that makes for a good stream game.
Yeah, that's just I'm gonna just kick back. I'm gonna put it on my CRT, and then like The Last Guardian would be, I've played it, but I would like to own it. Like I would like to have that option to pop the disc in and play it again.
Yeah, I know for that particular example of The Last Guardian, I think my experience was so powerful playing that game first time round, is that I kind of never want to go back to it, kind of thing. Like Shadow of the Colossus, every time that gets re-released and remade, I will always go back and play that game. But there's something about The Last Guardian of your relationship with Doricon and everything you go through. It's kind of it was perfect. It was a time capsule of who I was at that person at that time, and then I'm kind of good with that.
That's fair. Like in my head, I want to go back and talk. I want to go back and make a video about The Last Guardian, because I feel like it's a game that was misunderstood when it came up. Not necessarily misunderstood. I just think
development hell and all that stuff. Yeah,
I just think one of the key complaints about the game is, and I don't. It's very rare that I say something like this, but I think one of the key complaints about that game is factually incorrect. Where it's like, the game should be like this. It's like, it really shouldn't, and let me tell you why. But then I feel like if I make that video, like Eco and Shadow of the Colossus are 2 games that like inspire like people like myself to talk, and I feel like that's what's going to happen when I play them. Like I feel like I'm going to be inspired to talk about these games. And it would be rude to leave The Last Guardian out, because I love that game. Like it was a top 10 game of 2016 for me. Like it's a beautiful experience. Maddening, but an incredible. I think a thing I think everybody should experience like once.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so I guess there is a 4th prong: games that I want to talk about.
There you go. Yeah, and sadly, obviously, that studio got shuttered by Sony, and like the whole Team Eco and Team Japan went down the Swanee. And speaking of other studios that Sony have shut down, segue. This week we heard the news that Sony has shut down Firewalk. That is the developer behind Concord, the kind of much maligned live service game that PlayStation decided to release for 2 weeks before it pulled from the market, and then there was a bit of a hubbub of whether we'll see this game again. Will it be reworked into a free-to-pay model and like that? No, it's not. So this is taken from Eurogamer. So Firewalk Studios, the Sony-owned developer behind the ill-fated PlayStation shooter Concord, has been shut down, and the game will remain permanently offline despite early suggestions it could return. Sony mobile-focused developer Neon Koi has also been closed. So yeah, they were involved with making a lot of mobile titles as well. And Helman Hurst, who came to prominence as the lead at Guerrilla, who led through the Killzone era and then brought the studio to such heights with the Horizon franchise, and then rose from strength to strength within PlayStation. We thought, this is a real gamer who's going to take us all the way to the top. And
yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot. Some of us weren't convinced.
And he's learned the corpo speak, and he's learned it well. So there was like a prepared statement that they spewed out, kind of thing. I mean, we won't have to go through it here, but
yeah, I mean, it's all
salad that we already hear.
We consistently evaluate our games portfolio and make sure we are meeting our long-term business priorities.
And we made the difficult decision.
We made the difficult decision to close the studio. Difficult for you, Herman.
Exactly. Quote, we need to be strategic, though, in bringing our games to new platforms and recognize when our games fall short of meeting players' expectations. How about you just be straight with us and say, okay, this was a legacy from the Jim Ryan era, when the shareholders were on at Jim Ryan saying, we've got to worry about our sixth yacht. Who is going to redeck our sixth yacht? And he's like, all right, don't worry, I've got you. We're going to make live service games because Fortnite makes all this money, Call of Duty makes all this money. We're going to make the same. And just to hedge our bets, we're going to make all of our studios do live service games.
One of them will hit.
Everything is going exactly. We only need one of them to hit, and don't worry about the others and what will happen to those teams in those studios.
And our brand and platform and reputation.
Exactly. PlayStation known for third-person action-adventure games, and that's where their bread and butter is. That's what bought them.
I've said before on this podcast, I want them to branch out and do other things apart from over-the-shoulder third-person narrative, prestige, HBO type games. But this wasn't what I meant.
Exactly. And obviously in the run-up to Concord, we were much maligning the way that PlayStation marketed, or rather didn't market this game, and just didn't tell anybody about it. And then we had this weird state of play where they gave us a trailer that was far too long.
Marketing's an interesting one. To stick to that point, if you don't mind,
sure,
for a moment, because I feel like we've talked about the fact that games come out and it's like, well, they didn't market it. And it's like, I think they did. But I think the way that we use the internet, because we're only really getting marketed to on the internet. We're not watching TV and watching adverts and all that stuff. I think the way that we use the internet has kind of killed marketing a bit. Because I was thinking about it. They didn't market this game. And it's like, but where would I have seen the marketing?
That's true.
I only go on Twitch to watch a couple of my friends, and I subscribe to them, so I don't see ads there. I'm subscribed to YouTube Premium, so I don't see ads there.
No ads.
No reputable video game company is going to advertise on Twitter.
Yeah.
But also I don't go on there anymore. Bluesky doesn't have ads. I don't go on Instagram anymore. I don't use Facebook. So it's if there was a marketing campaign for this game, where would I see it?
Maybe on video game news sites as banner ads and skyscrapers and the like, but that'd be around about it.
Yeah, because no one would use ad blockers.
No, of course not, because then you're taking away from the livelihood of the video game site. No, not one. Never once.
In my defense, though, I do sometimes pay for Eurogamer's subscription.
That's good.
Because I feel like we need to pay. I feel like we're in the era of if you like something, you need to pay for it. But that's a separate conversation.
100%. You need to support the creators that you enjoy the content of.
Yeah.
Sorry. And absolutely during these unprecedented times that we seem to be constantly living in, work out whatever's financially viable for yourself. If you need to have the ad blocker on, make that work, and you can't afford to subscribe, then there's plenty of other ways to support content creators as well by spreading their work across your social platforms and things like that. Getting back to this story, every cloud has a silver lining, even mushroom clouds. The one silver lining here is that they are looking to reallocate a number of these staff across various different teams. But sorry, I think I've just killed Amy with my every cloud. Every cloud has a silver lining, even mushroom clouds line. But there's everything on the thumbs up. That's the one that took her out, everyone. So they are looking to reallocate these staff. But then what you need to consider is where is Firewalk based. And obviously, these people have set up lives and livelihoods around them and their families and what have you. And if they get reassigned to other studios, does that mean that they have to move? Do they have to root their family? Take any children they may have out of school and whatnot? Amy's still dying over there, so we're gonna keep going, everybody. And it's not the what's the intention to reassign people? They're not going to reassign anyone. And Helman Hurst had a quote saying. Quote, I know none of this is easy news to hear, particularly with colleagues and friends departing SIE. Both decisions were given serious thought, and ultimately we feel that these are the right ones to strengthen our organization. Again, more word salad.
How? If you... I think Herman's forgotten the business that he runs, so I want to help him out here. If you run a company that makes video games, I want you to... I want the answer to the question, how does it strengthen your company to have less people making video games for you? Because we've seen this sentiment dozens of times in the last
18 months
18 months. and I never understand it. It's like when the BioWare one, well, we need to be more agile as a company. It's like you don't have a carry limit.
You're not over encumbered.
You're not over encumbered. How is it strengthening you to have because Firewalk, nobody will have learned the lessons from Concord harder than the people who worked at Firewalk. And they can take those lessons and apply them forwards. So the idea that, we've learned our lessons, it's no. The people you have just sacked have learned their lessons. They don't work for you anymore. Can I read
this? Sorry. The last line from your statement is, quote, I remain confident that we are building a resilient and capable organization driven by creating unforgettable entertainment experience for our players. At no point throughout any of his statement is sustainability mentioned, as opposed to how we're growing through sustainable financials, especially in a challenging economic environment, is critical. But none of what he said is saying, okay, we've cut this so we can be sustainable, or we have a plan in place which is sustainable. It's all still chasing this infinite growth. And we're going to see more teams like that. So we look at Fair Games, and that's the title that's coming out with Haven Studios, which is Jade Raymond's studio, who sadly for them has a lineage of not having titles which actually make release. And it's one of these where this is the next live service game from PlayStation and from the Jim Ryan era, and possibly the last one at Cyber Marathon. And if you're at Haven, you've got to be quickening your boots. You've got to be making sure your resume is ready to go, because that title has never seen the light of day. Because Fair Games is the one where I get confused with the whole PvPvE kind of thing. But essentially, you're robbing a bank or robbing a vault, and you've got another team trying to either prevent that, and then
it's a competitive heist game. That's what they call it on the PlayStation.
That's the one. So this game is not coming out. I'm calling it now, and we're hearing today at the day recording that Concord ran up over $200 million in order to develop. I'm not suggesting that Haven Studios is also spending that kind of money, but in any world, they're never making that money back and making a profit on this game. And it's kind of, there is a sunken cost fallacy, but at some point you just need to say, okay, this is the old leadership and the old the old monarchy trying to bring that voice down. And it's kind of, we knew that. Sean Layden knew that. That's why he made a mysterious disappearance, in my opinion, anyway, from the top of PlayStation when Jim Ryan came to power, kind of thing. And it's one of these where everybody knows it, and this happening to Concord surprises, and for Firewalk Studios, sadly surprises nobody, because anyone who knows a single thing about the video game industry saw this coming. In terms of it was the wrong game at the wrong time, and in the very least, anyway. And it's one of these where that ship has already sailed, and it's to what we spoke about last week in terms of if people have an existing relationship with a Fortnite or a Call of Duty or whatever it is, it's really hard to break up a happy home in order to get them to come play your game. And it's kind of, where is the gap in the market that Concord was filling, in terms of, we have Fortnite players on PlayStation, we have Call of Duty players on PlayStation. It's not like there was a hole in the market that this game was ever going to plug. And it's the same with Fair Games, and I worry for everyone at the studio.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I think with the $200 million estimate, I think with the $200 million estimate, like you can do. PlayStation might be doing, like whoever got that figure, like might got it from PlayStation, might be doing some weird maths there, because the studio was bought last year, and is the purchase price like included in that, like, you know, like they were only a PlayStation studio for like a year. I was on the PlayStation blog looking up Fair Games to see what it was, and one of the next stories down was introducing Concord, a new PvP multiplayer FPS from Firewalk Studios, coming to PS5 and PC. And it's like kind of heartbreaking to read. It's written by Ryan Ellis, who was the game director at Firewalk Studios. And like the opening paragraph, it's been an exciting few weeks for all of us at Firewalk Studios. After sharing the news last month that Firewalk would be joining PlayStation Studios, today we are thrilled to confirm the title of our upcoming game, Concord. And I'm just like, oh man, I just want to reach back in time, Ryan. Ryan, no. Ryan, get out of there.
Random question. If you're at PlayStation, you're running the PlayStation blog, do you delist those articles?
I hope not. Like, I don't know. It's like they're good for like historical like research.
It is,
I guess. Like, it's there. Like, the thing about the internet is like you can just go find anything.
It's always there. You can't.
Like,
you can't.
Yeah, they can delete it. I can go and find it. Like, but I just run into it randomly, and I'm just like reading through it, just like, this is fucking depressing, man. They still call Twitter in the post as well. There's all these like weirdly like vague screenshots that don't have anything to do with like the vibes of the game, because it was this must have been from like the very first reveal trailer, which was just the name. But
it's really, I mean, it might not be the correct forum for them to make this kind of announcement, but it's okay if this team is, and they're clearly talented at what they do, and they have the ability and the capacity to make this type of experience. Is it just that for the market that we live in today, kind of thing, it needed to be an established IP? So could this team be reassigned to work with an existing IP within the PlayStation fan base and the family of IP that they own, kind of thing? And I'm not saying it needs to be a Last of Us multiplayer title, that kind of thing, because Naughty Dog tried that, and somehow they came to the realization that, we're gonna have to support this game after we launch it. But
do they? Like, and again, I've been holding this since that statement was revealed about Last of Us factions. Because, like, the thing people liked about The Last of Us factions, like the multiplayer element of The Last of Us, it wasn't a live service game. It was just a multiplayer mode.
True, but then how do you monetize that outside of
you charge people for it? Like, you charge people for the game, they pay for the game, they play the game. Like, you don't do the live service thing, which means you don't need to continually bring in recurrent revenue. You get a lot of money from the fact that it's The Last of Us. A lot of people who have played factions in, was it the first game that had that mode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 did not ship with any multiplayer. No.
Yeah, that was it. It would have been wild, actually, thinking about it. like the people that played that and wanted to play it again, like would buy it. And it's like, but again, it's like you're not going to make a squidge $1 billion doing that.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get an IP or something in their stable that has the reach of a Fortnite or a Genshin or whatever it is, and it's not going to happen. These are unicorn experiences, and you're trying to catch lightning in the bottle several different times. And
if
it
Naughty
just
Dog
work.
made The Last of Us Factions as just like a classic style PvP game, maybe it's expanded because it's a standalone title, and charged £25 for it, they would have raked in the cash. Like, I stand by that. Like, but it wouldn't have been live service money, but they also wouldn't be supporting it for hundreds of millions of dollars and dozens of years or whatever. Like, but that's not how it works. That's my hot take on that one.
Yeah.
I had another take, and the first one that ejected the second one out of my brain, which is no. Actually, I'll back to it. Thank you. What they should do, like, no studio should be getting closed, especially a studio in this kind of circumstance, especially a studio you acquired less than 18 months ago. Like, that is just a huge failure on PlayStation's part. But the thing that you do with the Concord developers is you don't assign them anything. It's the same thing with Arcane Austin before they were closed. After Redfall, which was obviously a disaster last year. Like, you say you take them aside, right? Because both of these, I don't know like why Concord was made. I don't know why Firewalk Studios made Concord, but I know why Arcane Austin made Redfall. It was because the publisher said we need live service games, make a live service game, and they were thoroughly ill-equipped to do that. You take the developers there who have obvious talent, and you say, what do you want to make? Get everybody in the studio together. Do the thing, get the pitches, get the prototypes, come up with an idea, make that thing. Don't pitch like a $200 million live service game. What the hell? What do you want to make? And then let them fucking make it. And I guarantee you, it'll be a decent game. At the very least,
100%.
They'll make you a decent game. Arcane Austin made Prey in 2017. That game is fucking fantastic. And it's like no other studio but Arcane Austin would have made that game the way that they did. Like, if they had just let them cook, in fact, I can sum it up. The thing that they should have done with Firewalk is let them cook.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it breaks our hearts to think they had like 12 months of content already done and in the can kind of thing, ready to roll out for this title, and no one's ever going to see that content. And to your point kind of thing, sit them down and say, okay, in our game Astrobot, that's going to release in a couple of months. This is hypothetically going back a couple of months kind of thing. You're going to say, okay, we're going to have homages to all of these franchises and whatnot. Which ones of these that we know have some cachet at least with our audience?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with these? Do you have any ideas? Yeah, exactly.
And don't limit them. Don't be like, oh, well, this one is currently relevant to the market. Like, if they turn around and they say, actually, we want to make fucking Ape Escape, you go, cool, make the best Ape Escape game ever.
Yeah.
Here's money. And they'll probably make you the best Ape Escape game ever.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. Like, From Software make whatever they fucking want, and look where it's got them.
Absolutely.
Larian Studios make whatever the fuck they want, and look where it's gotten them. Like, the Zelda team changed the formula almost every fucking release, and look where it's gotten them, because they do what they fucking want.
And they don't necessarily have any corporate overlords saying, we need this to make the money. We need to be this type of game because that is what the bean counters upstairs are telling me.
Well, we market tested it, and we need to make it in this kind of game. It's like, no, like the team at all of those studios just went, actually, we're doing this. Like, they made Elden Ring. They did the thing where they made an open world game.
Yeah,
but they made their own open world game. Like, they didn't compromise the design of like their style of game to make an open world game. What they did was they made their style of game, but with an open world. Genius. It shouldn't be genius, but it is.
It should be commonplace. Yeah,
that should just be commonplace. It should be like, we're making the game that we want to make. That should be how it works, and it's not.
As with all of these,
people.
As with all of these, our hearts go out to everyone who's been affected and are losing their jobs or being reassigned and having to uproot your life once again. And it's one of these where, this again is another failure on management and the likes of Jim Ryan and his cronies who led this team down this avenue. And if this wasn't the project that they were enthusiastic about to begin with, then obviously it's a failure on those people as well. And this industry doesn't deserve you, but I hope that you find the means to stay and make the project that you actually want to do.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Mm-hmm. And then on the opposite side of the scale, you know how last week I said that Iskimon and his cronies, they get up and they say,
we pulled the trigger a week too
bonjour,
early.
ça va? Yeah, absolutely. What is the dumbest thing we can do today?
And we thought we had the answers.
And
we were wrong.
And they thought, you know what? This is an idea which is so cunning and so brilliant. It's too good to share and speak about it to the rest of the gaming media space.
I've just pulled up the news story from Eurogamer. I would like to. I'll read a little bit of it just for context. Which is this was written by Ed Nightingale. Ubisoft has released its first ever blockchain game, the tactical NFT battler. Champions Tactics.
I knew you were getting that through that with that straight face.
Grimoire Chronicles. It's a blockchain game. Like, oh my god. The company announced the game last June after years of dabbling in blockchain, but has only now quietly launched it. The game is on PC and free to start, though players can purchase figurines with which to battle using either in-game gold or cryptocurrency. These figurines are NFTs and can be bought on the game's marketplace from anywhere between $7 and $64,000. It appears to be possible to play the game without purchasing figurines, though those willing to pay the extortionate prices will surely have more success in battles. Yes, that's exactly how an NFT game works.
Yes.
The more money you spend on your NFT, the better it is. Like,
pay to win.
It's pay. Well, the idea behind NFT games is it's play to earn. Like if you remember the whole idea behind NFT games, like remember when Square Enix president did that infamous letter where he announced the death of fun. The idea is like you play the game and you earn money for playing the game,
right?
So it's not just pay to win. It's like, you know, you can earn a living playing this game. Apparently, that's what the NFT people keep telling me. And any day now, a gun I buy in Call of Duty I'll be able to use in Fortnite. You know, like that's how games work.
And then they'll sell you microtransactions for the ammunition for that gun. Don't you worry.
I'm just having I'm having flashbacks to the meeting where that actually took place.
So they decided, you know what, blockchains are the thing. It's not just going to be that we're going to close down the studio behind the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. That wasn't the dumbest thing. This is in the same week. This is in the same calendar week. We are recording this on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
For those who want to peek behind the curtain, this is one calendar week, and they're two stupid things.
Yeah, we can't keep the team together that made an excellent if underperforming game to make another excellent game which will perform better as history has shown. If you keep making good games, you'll sell more of them every time you do. But instead we can release an NFT tactics game. Years later, the party. Like, I gotta say,
exactly. Well, games still take a long time to develop, and the people who behind these decisions, they don't understand that.
You shared the link in Discord, and I literally had the Obi-Wan Kenobi moment where I was like, NFTs. That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
I had the visible confusion gif, and Amy had the original Obi-Wan.
Exactly. This is still a thing. Yeah, apparently it's still a thing. But it's interesting, isn't it, that, you know, we talk about the big studios like Ubisoft, PlayStation, Xbox, and like one of their core problems is they're market leaders who aren't trend setting, they're chasing trends. And one thing I think that's very interesting that I think is highlighted by this game coming out. I mean, apart from all the stupid stuff, which I'm sure we'll laugh about later, but like one interesting thing I think this highlights is the lengthening development times are making it even funnier when these supposed market leaders try to chase trends, because what ends up happening is they're chasing dead trends. Like, there's an argument that this game might have been a good idea for Ubisoft to dabble in 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't because blockchain is dumb and NFTs are dumb, but there was hype around it 3 years ago. Now, I don't know what the market is for this game. I don't even know if it exists anymore.
Hasn't the crypto market crashed like a bunch of times already? It's kind of
Yeah.
to be fair, I've chewed my brain out to any like word mention of crypto. My brain just goes Charlie Brown. Everybody just goes wow wow wow. Anyone who tries to talk about this, and it's kind of, I know that I'm never going to dabble in that because it's a fool's errand, and it's only marketed at fools who have capital to kind of swindle their own money away, and it's
Crypto
yeah
is a pyramid scheme that has long since
yeah
you're not getting in anywhere near the top. At this point, if you're getting into
you're a
crypto,
bottom
you're a
feeder.
bag holder. At this
Yeah.
point, NFTs are like several levels even further down, where it's just like people. Like, if you're going to buy an NFT at this point, you might take the money and set it on fire. You'll have a better experience.
Put it in your Xbox. See what happens.
Put it in your Xbox. You might get Silent Hill downpour.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fascinated by the mechanics of this game. Like, I know a little bit about how NFT games work. I've like watched stuff about them, but like, I've never seen a AAA game studio publish one. Like, I'm fascinated how this works. Like, there is a sick part of me that wants to check it out just to see what the mechanics of this game actually are. Because, like,
what if it's an actually brilliant tactics game? It's not like...
that would be even worse. Can you imagine? It's a great game. Like, Ubisoft Paris have chefed, and it's fucking phenomenal. But then it's got all this NFT shit behind it. I just destroyed it completely. And it's just like, man, that would actually be worse than if it was a terrible game, because I'd feel so bad. I'd be like, dude, this game's awesome, but you need to fucking sign up for a crypto wallet just to play it.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is that I fully agree with your point that the market leaders within the video game industry, they are trend chasing as opposed to trend setting. But the thing that I've come to observe is that they don't necessarily drop a trend until the next trend is here, which they can kind of jump on. I'm not seeing what that is, which is why PlayStation doing this whole...
The trend at the moment has been AI, but there's only certain companies that are set up to take advantage of it. Like, we're not in. I mean, we all saw the EA presentation here. Like,
yes,
right? It's like that's where we're at. Like, PlayStation's not chasing that trend. They'd look like fools. EA are used to looking like fools, so it's fine. And like on the other side of it, you've got Microsoft chasing it as a platform holder across like Windows and Copilot and Xbox and stuff, and you know, it's going great.
Sure.
Like, I don't see what the next trend is, but that's the thing about trends. Nobody can see what the next trend is. When Among Us exploded in 2020, like, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Like, it was the same with Phasmophobia. I think the same year, or it might have been the year after, where that had its moment, and obviously nobody saw that coming. Like, you don't see these things coming. That's the inherent problem with chasing trends. Is if you're just making the same things over and over again, you're not gonna be the one that finds the trend, right?
That there's no innovation, just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, it's like Fortnite popularized battle royales, but it was PUBG that exploded it. And there were battle royales before that. The idea is once you get that first game that pops, you might, if you're quick, be able to capitalize on that. If you're quick and talented, you might be able to capitalize on that. AAA studios aren't quick.
No,
they can't capitalize on this.
And for all the talk we hear about them becoming more agile with all the people they're laying off, they're still not quick.
Yeah, if you take 8 years to make, like, let's say PUBG exploded today. It's 2017. Everybody's playing PUBG. Right. So you're a AAA game studio. Your Battle Royale shooter ain't coming out for years. The trend's dead by then, mate. Like, it's done. Apex Legends is on the cusp of it, and that was only 2 years.
Yeah.
And the issue that you have is, if, like, I think I'm repeating myself here. Like, I think I just said it. The issue that you have is, like, PlayStation can't create a trend if all they're doing is either making the same thing they've always made, or chasing Overwatch, as with Concord, to tie it back into the first story.
Yeah, and the thing you need to make an Overwatch kind of model work, or a clone for want for a better word, is what Marvel Rivals is doing. You see that Activision fumbled the bag when it came to Overwatch 2, and how everybody kind of panned that game, but still yearned for that experience. And then you have Marvel Rivals come onto the scene, which has that Overwatch gameplay loop, but then when you have an IP that people love with art style people really vibe with, and it is filling that hole in the market, and especially on consoles. Obviously, on PC, there's a large Overwatch base
Yeah,
which is still
Overwatch at home.
playing that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of these where you do need that. Yeah, sadly, you do need that huge IP that kind of gives you the foothold and the
Or
kind
a
of
hook.
recognition of yes.
And I hate to say this because I've seen this mistake be made going all the way back to the Old Republic. That you can't make the hook of your online game story. Nobody wants to sit through cutscenes when they're playing their Overwatch game. There's a reason Overwatch's cinematics were released outside of Overwatch on
Yes.
YouTube, so I could watch them whenever I wanted. Or they were used
And
to
there's a
announce
reason
new
their single
things.
player,
Like
their single player hasn't emerged because there just isn't the market for it.
it's like people love the characters and will go out of their way to explore like the comics and the shorts, but like if you try to put a story inside the Overwatch game, people just want to play Overwatch.
Yeah.
It's why you go in and you pick a character and you're in.
Yeah.
After a queue, probably. but yeah. I mean, I can't. Tactical NFT battler. It's a genre now. I'm gonna watch the
Do you
trailer.
reckon there's like in-game dialogue that says, "I'm going to fungible your token"?
You wouldn't funge a token.
Exactly.
I'm watching the trailer.
Oh,
So there's
I remember the
cards.
original meme that came out with that when NFTs were first on the scene, and you wouldn't screenshot an NFT.
Yeah, I guess they've gotten around that a bit because like I can screenshot all I want, but I can't play the game with it. Master Urizo.
It is.
Oh,
Absolutely. Oh no.
okay.
Turns out it's not Final Fantasy Tactics level quality.
No, I don't know if I'm watching gameplay, but like, so there's cards, right?
Yep.
I love how I'm describing a trailer
Yeah.
with
Absolutely.
words. So like, there's the usual fantasy thing, and then there's like, hey, this guy, he's got a sword. Hey, this guy, he's also got a sword. Oh, this guy's got a sword too. And then like it's cards, and I'm thinking, okay, so it's a card-based tactics game. And then it's like the guy lands on a base, like a Warhammer mini.
Yeah.
And like I hope I'm not looking at gameplay because they're fighting in the void.
Wow.
It's the only way I can describe it. It's like a blank background. And then like the guy does one of them does like a fireball, boosh, and then the other model is like ah, and like this is the entire rest of the trailer. One person kills 3 people at once, and like another person buffs, and someone's got a gun and goes boosh. But it looks stop motion. Like it genuinely looks stop motion, which makes me wonder: Am I looking at gameplay? Does gameplay exist? Are people playing this? I'm going down the rabbit hole. This
might be Ubisoft's own pyramid scheme. We don't know at this point.
For anyone who cares to know, this is exactly how video essays are born. Like, okay, tactics, gameplay. Official launch trailer. Champions gameplay. All right, cool. I'm on my burner YouTube account because I don't want YouTube to know that I'm doing
like,
it.
oh, Amy likes NFTs now.
My
They're all
my
NFTs.
burner YouTube account is awful. Like the algorithm on there is like I get recommended like Asmund Gold videos and stuff because when I want to when I need to like watch stuff like that, I switch to this account specifically. And yeah, no. So the thing that I just described is gameplay. It's a tabletop game on a tabletop. So there's a they're on a table and there is a very, very blurry background. But then when they do the fighting, it goes to the void and the models do the thing. And it looks, I don't know if this is going to come up very well on my camera, because I can't just you're doing a video, Amy. You could just edit the thing in. One, shut up. Two, that means Vitz can't see it. That's what it looks like.
Wow. Okay.
So it's got the stats and all the stuff,
Yeah.
and this is playing, by the way. This is a static.
Yeah.
And you can see the three models. They've got the health underneath.
Thrilling.
I'm waiting for this YouTube person to, like, just pick something. I need to shove it. That's what it looks like.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
You get the stop animation. What I need to see is the value for each token in real world cryptocurrency go up and down underneath all of this.
But that's what I'm wondering. Like, is the if it dies, if your model dies, does it lose value? Is that how the value works? Like, because part of blockchain gaming is like things getting more and less valuable. So how do you determine? Is it just marketplace? Is it like, well, this one's more popular, so the value's going up?
Yeah.
Or is it actually part of the gameplay mechanics? Like, if a hero loses, does his value go down?
That would be interesting, but I don't reckon it is, because that would make some sort of sense.
Again, this is how video essays are born. You find the questions, you ask the questions. The answers are usually insane and lead to further questions. And the next thing you know, you've made an hour-long video about video game credits. And discovered a whole new credit that was missing for 30 years. Wow. Like, so that's what it looks like. Interesting.
In balance, I'm going to stick to Metaphor ReFantazio.
I mean, I'm going to stick to Silent Hill and Dragon Age and all of these games that I've grabbed from my shelf to make points. But, yeah, no, it like, in that, like, morbid sort of way, like, because it's not good. Like, NFT games are stupid. Blockchain games are stupid. The blockchain itself is pretty stupid. And NFTs are ridiculous. But it is fascinating as, like, the first, like, large scale. I'm looking up the developer studio because this was specifically developed by Ubisoft Paris. And I'm like, what did Ubisoft Paris make? and like one of the first things that's come up, you go on the website for paris.ubisoft.com and it says discover our worlds, and one of their worlds is Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yes, it is.
And I'm like, this story is great. I love it so much. Like, so they've got 4 games listed. Just Dance 2022, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and Watch Dogs Legion. I don't want to be nasty, but one, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's a meme at this point.
Yes, it's vaporware, yeah.
Breakpoint and Legion were literally like the downturns of those franchises.
But also,
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't like being mean. I felt bad saying it, but
no, but in that way that Ubisoft titles are often worked on by every single studio within their family, kind of thing. So you'll have, Ubisoft Singapore that do this, and Ubisoft Malaysia that do that. Do you reckon it's anybody who contributed to those games gets the credit?
No, I've just so they've got an R projects tab on their website, and it's even. I mean, I don't want to say it funnier, but it is. Sure. It is even funnier. Because it reveals a couple of extra projects. One of which is Skull and Bones.
Amazing.
The other one is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And now I'm thinking about it. Didn't Ubisoft... It was Ubisoft Italy that made the first one, wasn't it? Milan.
That's a you question. I'm not sure on that one. I can look it up.
Again, at this point, you're just seeing how video essays are made in real time. Who made Mario and Rabbids? David Saliani. Oh, it was Milan. Ubisoft.
Okay.
I wonder if the Paris studio is a support studio after all. It's hard to tell because the Wikipedia page just goes to Ubisoft, like, generally when you try to, like, get their list of games.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what their website says they worked on. Which is an interesting list of games. Also, I don't think they've been around for very long.
This is the thing. So the the share price has tanked again.
Sure.
Which
Wonder
is
why.
good. And I imagine, a hostile takeover from Tencent is due any second now.
I mean, at this
What's going to
point,
come first?
at this point, I would say they were trying to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Wait. There was a Zombie U2? Why does it say why does it say Zombie U2 exists? Wikipedia, and explain yourself.
The citation needed.
Yeah, it was cancelled. There's a sequel. It was cancelled. That's a shame. Zombie U2 was cool. I like Zombie U. As far as like utilizations of the Wii U gamepad, like it was one of the better ones.
Oh yeah, aside from Mario Kart 8, which was just the whole touchpad was a horn.
I mean, that was the go. That was the number one. Like, the worst one was Fatal Frame 5. I don't know what they were thinking. Or? It was your camera. No, that was exactly it. Like, which it's one of those sounds good on paper ideas until you like not even looking at the TV anymore.
Yes.
Wow, this has gone off the rails. But that was a fascinating journey of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my hope is that, you know, like, the people who are working at Ubisoft Paris don't suffer for this fool's errand that they've been sent on by their bosses.
I imagine they're striking at this very moment.
It's possible. It's possible they've already petrol bombed something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it sucks. Like NFT games are stupid. Watch Line Goes Up by Dan Olsen. It's an incredible video about NFTs. I mean, that was pretty productive considering we came into this with no clear idea of what our third topic was going to be.
I enjoyed it.
You got to see behind the scenes of like how a video essay is born.
There you go.
You ask one dumb question, it leads to 5 dumb questions, which leads to 10 dumb answers, and then the next thing you know, you're hours deep into gameplay of the world's first NFT battler.
So what we're saying is, merci Ubisoft. Merci.
I'm not making a video essay about this game. Fuck that. I've got better things to do with my life.
No. What if you did?
No. I've got better games to make video essays about. It was a fun 5-minute diversion, though.
Right, okay.
And indie game of the week? No?
Yeah, no, we've done that one. Let's go to the other game that we play every week. It is OpenCritic Head-To-Head.
This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the upcoming average. Nope. Let me try that a third time. This is why I prefer video essays, because when I say things wrong, I can just edit it out. This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the OpenCritic average of upcoming games. Whoever guesses closest to the score at the time of recording gets a point. If you manage to guess the score correctly, you get 2 points. We've currently got 2 games on deck that we need to get scores for. With 3, but of course this isn't getting a review score, I don't think.
At this point, I reckon it will.
I don't think it's ever going to. But we've got 2 games on deck. The first one, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Moody guessed it would get an 82. Vitz guessed it would get an 80. I guessed it would get a 70. I hedged some bets. What can you say? And at the time of recording, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has an OpenCritic average of 83, which means Moody gets a point.
Which is amazing. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this title, and especially with the campaign, which is, as I understand, a real upturn from the last campaign that they released, and even the last Black Ops campaign that was done. So, if this is a game for you, and obviously it's the first one that's coming to Game Pass, which is new day and date kind of thing, then fill your boots.
Yeah. I was going to ask a question about that, and then I changed my topic at the last second. We'll save that. I have thoughts about Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass.
Fair enough.
Or a question, because I think there's an interesting thing. I think it's a lose-lose for Microsoft, but we'll get into it. We also tried to guess the OpenCritic average for Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I guessed it would get a 90. Moody guessed it would get an 88. Vitz guessed it would get an 87. At the time of recording, Dragon Age: The Veilguard has an OpenCritic average of 82.
I'm glad I hedged my bets ever so slightly on that one. Yeah, like I said last week, kind of thing. I'm really excited that this game has been received well. Obviously not to the numbers that the two of you kind of
Received
predicted.
well is received well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you're going to have an amazing time with this game, and
So.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah.
I hope so. I've never had
People are
conflicting
saying
opinions before with the Masters.
exactly. The consensus from what I gather is people are saying BioWare are back, and whether that is a they always say that kind of thing, but it's one of these whether people are making pot shots at Andromeda or not. Yeah,
Dragon Age, wasn't it? Dragon Age Inquisition came out and everybody was like, BioWare is back. I'm sure that was the narrative.
Yeah.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out and everyone was like, BioWare is back. And I was like, I remember shouting, it's a remaster. It doesn't count.
Yeah, we just to see what happens this N7 day. For some reason,
Nothing.
Because it'll be nothing again. For some reason, the director or one of the head honchos behind the next Mass Effect kind of thing had to come out because Dragon Age of Velgard, for those who don't know, it has a stylized art style and is obviously different from Dragon Age that come before it. And the Mass Effect, which goes to obviously photorealism and things like that, and
which is just a different style.
Absolutely, yes. Score. Yeah, and for some stupid reason, the team at Mass Effect listened to the stupid people on the internet saying, "Oh, I hope Mass Effect doesn't have this style." And it's kind of, well, no, it wouldn't.
Unless they, unless they change the Mass Effect style.
Exactly, and it's kind of like, don't even waste your oxygen on these people, my friend.
It irked me because the quote I saw, they were like, "Oh no, it's got the whatever he called kind of style they called it, photorealism or whatever," and then said the mature style, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, mature? Yeah. Are we going down? Are we pulling that thread?"
Yeah.
Fucking
next, we're taking pot shots at Wind Waker.
I've been down that path before. People try to rewrite history about the reception that game got before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, Gandalf.
Dragon Age looks amazing on the surface. I don't necessarily think it's a title for me.
I'll let you know. I'm going to let you know on this podcast.
Absolutely. And as I said at the moment, I am like 50 hours into Metaphor di Fantasio. I got past the bit that Amy was struggling with last week. And I played many more hours since then. And it continues to go from strength to strength for me. And where I'm story-wise, obviously no spoilers. I am surprised and blown away. And I still feel that I love Persona 5 more. But this is still a very, 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 very good game. I
think a thought process like that needs time. It needs time.
It needs time to percolate. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, no. I'm glad you're still enjoying it. I have Super Mario Party Jamboree. Whee.
Yeah, you do.
And Grand
there you go. You got all the games. So the scores understand. Amy's on 30. Moody's on 44. Myself, I'm on 22, and Draws is on 6. Getting dunked.
Do I need to? Yeah, Draws is done. Yeah. Next year's competition. So the reason you get 2 points for a correct guess instead of 1 isn't necessarily a reward for being clever or a good guesser. It's to try and like break everything up, right? It's like the game. I think the game's kind of dull. If like the first person says a number. And then, like, the other two people go, like, right there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this gesture is allowed on YouTube, but there we are.
For audio listeners, Amy was doing a visual representation when a player goes 1 point ahead and 1 point below behind the score. Yeah.
And, like, I don't know if it's necessarily working. Do I need to increase the number? Do I need to increase the number to incentivize people to break apart? Or do you think it's just the fact that we're kind of in the same ballpark because that's just how review aggregation works?
I think so, but maybe we need to instill a rule that you can't go one immediate number next to somebody else.
That's good. Because then it gives a bit more power to the person going first.
Yes.
I like that. That might be better than just like a 3-pointer, like because
Yeah.
my mind went to basketball as it often does.
I mean, basketball is your favorite sport.
Sure.
You like the way and dribble up and down the court.
Ice hockey, but I don't really. I find the less I talk about it, the better my team does. I don't know, it's weird.
Braggy.
But yeah, it's like, is it a 3-pointer? Would that? I like your suggestion. What if it's just nobody can go within a point of each other?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So like in the
So
second,
if
third
someone
person can't go near the
nominates a
second
score,
person.
yeah, if someone goes 88, I wouldn't be able to go 87 or 89.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Draws might catch up to you next year, though.
All right.
in that scenario. Cool. We'll workshop some stuff, but for now, normal rules apply, and we've got 4 games to guess on. Moody. It was Moody's turn to go last this week anyway. So he'll just be adding his scores in after the fact.
Yeah.
I'll get him to do it tomorrow if he hasn't already done it. But first up, we've got Planet Coaster 2. This snuck up on me.
It did. I am gonna go with an 83, please.
Nice. It's a good guess. Like Planet Coaster 1 was great. I love that game.
Yeah.
Am I going to have time for this one? Not this year, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. That's the lesson I've learned in 2024. I can play this game whenever I want. 86 is where I'm going to go.
There you go. And we'll see what Moody goes with soon.
Indeed we will. Next up, Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Wahoo!
I don't know anything about this specific line of Mario games.
As in, like, the RPG
games?
style?
Like, because these were DS games, right? It was like Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story and all that stuff. Yeah. I remember seeing the trailers for them when they were happening, but I never actually, like...
So I think this game doesn't have as much juice as other titles within this lineage, as it were. I'm going to go for a 79, please.
Oh, yeah. Paper Jam. Apparently the last game was Paper Jam, and it came out in 2015.
Damn, that's some time.
Yeah, well, I think it specifically says the last original game in the series, so I think there's been...
Right. So we might have had some re-releases and
remasters,
and stuff, yeah.
The first game in the series not developed by Alpha Dream, apparently. Brothership...
Well, who knows what this will be, because they'll hide it, because it's Nintendo.
Acquire says.
Okay, right.
On the thing, developed by Acquire.
Amy's gone for an 82.
Yes,
I think we were just.
I think it's got juice. The power of brotherhood. If there's one thing Supernatural taught me in 15 seasons, that's the strongest force in the universe.
All that and a Chevy Impala.
I did have a thought partway through. It's like, I wonder if anyone's made a supercut of every time they talk about "you're my brother" or like just being brothers. I'm like, I wonder if that edit exists anywhere.
I'm sure it does.
It's like 10 hours long. Next up, we're going to guess the OpenCritic average of Metro Awakening. This is the VR title.
It is the VR title. So,
how much juice have we got?
The thing is, any juice that it has is tempered by it being a VR title. I'm gonna say 82.
I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
But I don't think that affects the reviews.
True.
Yeah, I think that's going to affect how well it sells.
But I get that, but then I think it will be a case of whether it's saying, "Oh, this would have been a better experience had it been like a flat screen game, as it were," as opposed to the VR is kind of holding things back from a technical limitation.
For me, because I remember seeing this trailer. This must have been one of the showcases that I watched. Because I remember this trailer.
And it's one of these where they showed this next to... It was back-to-back with another game that looked very similar.
Yeah, there was another VR game as well, I remember. Don't remember what it was. But I looked at this and I thought, damn, wish I still had a VR headset. This looks
Would you
sick.
not need a shiny new one to play this one?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, like one that I had wouldn't have cut it, but
Yeah.
this was making me like, ooh, that's pretty good though. I mean, terrifying. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go 87. One thing I've learned about VR titles is they get reviewed pretty consistently, but only by a smaller number of outlets. Usually just VR dedicated ones and maybe a couple of the bigger sites if it's a bigger game, which Metro is. So the OpenCritic average is more, for a VR game, is more prone to be volatile. Like Asgard's Wrath 2 last year, if 12 outlets loved it, it's going to be one of the best reviewed games of the year.
That's fair. Yeah.
The final game we're gonna be, which also snuck up on me, we're gonna be guessing is Slitterhead, which is the game by the people who made Silent Hill.
Bokeh Game Studio.
Yes, Silent Hill veterans came together to make a studio to make a completely batshit looking horror game.
Slitterhead is one of the most disgusting video game names I've ever come across.
But you know what? Sticks in your head, doesn't it?
It does. I'm gonna go for another 79 on this one.
I don't want to do this one. I've changed my mind. The thing about it is like it again, like, you know, it's a collection of people who worked on Silent Hill, and the Siren series and the Gravity Rush series. And I love all of those things.
Yeah.
Like, I love all of those things. I love the things that these people have given to me. But I don't know if it's going to review well, because horror games tend to review lower than standard games. I don't know. Fuck it. You know what? I'm the optimist around here. That's me.
That's what they say.
That's me.
I go high. The optimist.
I go high on these games. Like,
when they go low, we go high.
I'm like, if I'm ever stuck, what do I think?
You got 88. Never fails.
Okay, 88 never fails. Let's go. I rolled the dice on Marvel's Avengers. I guessed it would get at 97. I stand by that sequence
you were
of
almost
events.
Right. In some ways, you're almost wrong.
It's probably a better game now that it's offline.
This is true.
I owned it when they turned it off. They sold it on the digital storefronts for like a $5 or whatever it was, and my dumbass bought it on Xbox. So I own it, but I also don't own it.
Yes,
I'd own it, but I don't have access to it. I'm a bit annoyed.
So we will keep you updated on what scores Moody drops in during the week, and but you know, all this is academic because Moody's won this game.
Like, sure. At this point, like the catchphrase of OpenCritic Head-To-Head has always been, it's just an excuse to talk about video games. But like, I feel like that's been true since February, even more so than normal.
Yeah,
man, he's got a fucking 14-point lead on me in second.
Yeah.
You like, if the double points rule didn't exist, he would only be 5 ahead. So it's not like there's a massive gulf between the number of games that we're getting right. He's just been luckier in getting the correct scores.
This is true. I mean, I also think there's an art to what he does and how many times he's scored. Like, he's predicted the exact number that it's coming at. So
no, I mean, it's a guessing game. Like, there's no skill
I'm not
involved.
taking it.
I've said that even in years that I've won. There's no skill involved in this. It's like, even Fantasy Critic. There's not a lot of skill involved. You've just got to kind of pay a little bit of attention to what you're doing, and you won't like completely fuck yourself up. But yeah, that's cool. That's a podcast, Vitz.
It is.
But you know what the problem is now, right? Moody's not here.
But I got you, girl. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Vitz, and I'm here to tell you that we are all proud of you, and you have been crushing it, even if you've just been surviving and thriving, because these are unprecedented times, and I wish that we weren't living in unprecedented times, but more and more is the case that we are. And as the time of recording, next week is the US election, and who the heck knows what it's going to be like
Oh
there.
no, is it? Oh god.
It is.
It's all right. I've got
and
Super Mario. I'm fine.
Absolutely, and I'm sure any transitions of power are going to go smoothly, even though that's not going to happen until January. But we'll see what's happening. Anyway, back to you. You are doing incredible, even if you're just surviving, because that is indeed thriving, and it is to be commended more than anything. And whatever you happen to be doing, do it to your best of your ability. And if you're able to, catch us on Saturday at 7 p.m. GMT over on twitch.tv/wordsbackgames, where Amy, for all of our sins, will be playing Dino Crisis. That's a wrap from us. So until next time.
I'm going to put more thought into the things that I agree to do for you people next time.
And for these charities.
I'm not.
But yeah.
I like... the first stretch goal, I've got to play Umbrella Corps on the marathon stream.
When do we move away from all the stream stuff has to involve misery? Can it not just be for fun?
I mean, Moody seems to be having a lot of fun.
This is true.
I think he's cracked the formula.
I mean, he didn't have that much fun playing Halo.
That's true.
He endured Halo. He tolerated it.
But that's how it works, right? You do the charity thing. It's like people don't want to see you having a good time. People aren't going to donate for that. It's like you charity people who do the runs for they run 10 miles. It's like no one's enjoying that. But if you did something really fun, like ate a big cake, it's like less people. No one's going to want to donate for that because they'll be like, well, where's the challenge? And it's like the challenge is in not going back for seconds.
How big's a cake? Yes.
Anyway, friends, I know what you're trying to get out of, and it's not going to work.
Dang it.
I'm glad we're not doing the bit at the end anymore where we pretend to be really bad at being Moody.
Yeah.
That's going to do it. Yeah, I think we pushed that as far as we could when I lost my voice screaming the monologue from Elden Ring.
Absolutely. But if you have enemies, dear listener, then I hope they fall to a hail of harpoons.
Yes.
And that's going to be it.
Fuck NFTs.
Absolutely.
I felt like you always fuck something at the end of the podcast. So
absolutely.
I had to pick.